Welcome back to another episode of Beautifully Well Conversations with your girl, Coach Nick. But this conversation is special. Yes, this is an edition of Club Beautiful. If you have not seen those banners along this podcast, encouraging you to join the tribe because the tribe truly is the vibe. In Club Beautiful, every month, once a month, is a virtual meetup. The ladies are getting together with a conversation centered around some real talk, real healthy conversations with experts, like the expert joining us this evening, with the topic or on the topic of stress and weight. What's interesting about this conversation, and you'll hear why is Christi here, and Christi's going to introduce herself in just a second. Christi is a registered dietitian with years of experience in the field. And in our first topic in Club Beautiful, we wanted to talk a little deeper about that connection to stress eating, some emotional eating. And then because Christi is truly the food scientist, as I have so deemed her to be, that she will help us to explore a variety of foods coupled with nutritional value. And she's even going to mic drop a lot of terms that I hope if some of us are not familiar with, we'll decide to go do some research. So without further ado, Christi, please introduce yourself to the Beautifully Well Conversations audience and let us know what we have in store. What do we have to look forward to in this conversation?
Nick, let me just tell you, first and foremost, I love your intro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just keep giving me all the energy and all the vibes. So this is great. But I am truly excited this evening to be able to chat with you and your beautifully well audience. And my goal, of course, today is to make sure that we can talk all things related to nutrition as it relates to weight loss, weight gain, anxiety, burnout, all the things. And so I have been a registered dietitian, nutritionist for over 25 years. And when I initially started out, I was in clinical, but I took what I call the clinical route, where I was in settings like the hospitals, healthcare centers, a few wellness centers. And so fast forward, I've had a few pivots, but where I stand today is I run a practice where it's all about gut health and digestion and anything related to diet, weight loss, and most importantly, good gut health. So that's where I'm at today. So far, so good.
Expert, period. Point blank, period. So, the beauty of this conversation, for those of you listening, we have a special edition of this conversation, the video edition. So, Christi, feel free to share the information you'd like to share with those ladies in Club Beautiful. So, those of you listening, just know there are slides in this presentation with some really, really goodies. And Christi, let's just start the conversation with slide one.
All right, perfect. So, all in all, we know that we are all unique individuals. And one of the questions when I first start out working with clients, especially beautifully well clients, is what makes you unique? How do you notice stress that affects your eating habits or your food choices? And most importantly, where I come in is talking about the strategies that you can use to manage stress without either turning to food or thinking about different types of activities that will help you to decrease your stress level, your anxiety levels, but most importantly, your burnout. And so we know that when it comes to being a unique person, I could say firsthand, stress has a significant impact on eating habits and food choices. However, these choices, they can create a cycle where unhealthy eating habits lead to further stress. And with that stress, you have feelings of guilt that impacts you physically, most importantly, emotionally. You know what it's like, Nick, when you have those moods, those roller coasters. Some of that really triggers what types of foods that you eat. And so those foods could be high sugar, high fat, highly processed comfort foods, which we all know can contribute to a temporary sense of relief or pleasure, which is mostly due to the release of dopamine. And sugar really has that effect on most people. So, if you find that you tend to crave most sugar, just know that your dopamine levels are affected. And so, people of color, we know that with some of the things that we face, it could be added additional stressors. So, that can include systemic bias, microaggressions, those microaggressions that we can deal with at work, pressure from being underrepresented in the healthcare system. So, these challenges, as I mentioned, what makes you unique is that it contributes to a higher level of stress, anxiety, and burnout. But I am
Wow.
here to tell you, yes, I'm here to tell you that integrative nutrition is a key term that is used more widely and it's more represented today, where people are now embracing holistic approaches. And that too can help impact stress, where you can think about the different types of foods that contributes to a holistic approach.
Hmm. The holistic approach is becoming the only approach. I mean, you hit the nail on the head in so many areas, from stress and its impact on us metabolically because of some of the systemic biases. Some of the things that we face, you mentioned even, work related stress, underrepresentation, that those are things that play a major role in how stress affects us metabolically. And
Yes.
even this, burnout. I can't wait for us to dive in, Christy, but I know that so often when I talk with some women initially and I even bring up the word stress,
Mm-hmm.
it is not uncommon that some women will tell me, well, guess what? I'm not stressed
Mm.
because I can go about my day. I'm getting things done. Life is pretty happy. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, as you said, uniquely, how do we define stressors for us individually and recognize that all stress systems symptoms doesn't mean that we're just freaking out, but that awareness when we start to really look at our habits and how just life in general is affecting us. So this burnout is real, but you're going to help us identify some ways that we can use food to navigate these stressful situations.
Definitely. And you hit a key point where you mentioned what type of stressors, like how does it show up or where does it show up, especially in women? It could show up with not sleeping well at night, or it could show up with holding more water in your body. So water retention is just key. That's another way it shows up. Also, your moods. If you have those highs and lows with your mood swings, it shows up that way. So it doesn't always have to show up where you think that if you can't identify with it verbally, it doesn't show up physically. So it shows up in all those different areas. So, one diet that I typically suggest for my clients includes a diet that's rich in anti inflammatory foods. So, that includes key nutrients that really help to support your mental clarity, your emotional resilience, and most importantly, your physical well being. So, to give you an example, that includes like trying to avoid caffeine and heavy meals close to bedtime because that can, disrupt your sleep cycle. But incorporating foods that are rich in magnesium and tryptophan, which tryptophan is a mineral, but that includes, I'm sorry, tryptophan is a B vitamin. Where am I going? So with tryptophan, you can find that in turkey meat, because
Mm.
if you're one that eats turkey on a regular, you'll notice that once you eat it, you may feel a little sluggish and a little tired, and that's just tryptophan kicking in. And a diet rich in magnesium is super helpful because magnesium is one of those essential minerals that most of us women need to kind of de stress a little bit. So you can also find magnesium in leafy greens like your collards, your kale. Nuts are amazing in its raw form, as well as having any type of warm beverage like a tea, chamomile tea, things that most people know, but it's just hearing it more and more for it to become consistent. But consistency is always key. But last but not least, a lot of us, when we're stressed, we forget to breathe. And I
Mhm.
can't tell you how amazing it is when you learn certain breathing techniques. What that also does is relax your cortisol level.
Can I clap it up?
Clap
Clap it up.
it up.
Magnesium, and the biggest picture, and I love that you talked about, first of all, meat is not is not something we can be or feel shameful of. We know we're
Mhm.
moving into these plant-based movements. We're predominantly plant um, program, predominantly simply meaning that, of course, we want women to strive to get those plants in, but we're not saying you have to become the vegetarian or the vegan in this. And that most importantly, with these choices outside of supplements, like, hey, real talk, we have foods high in nutrient values, we have
Mhm.
foods high in these vitamins, these necessary nutrients that we need, and can we just aim to enjoy them
Right.
by
Right.
preparing them in a way that does not devastate or destroy the nutrient value in them, but just how just naturally and whole that we could just choose to eat more, um, to just eat more plants.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the best form of food that you can incorporate into your body are foods that are coming from the ground or foods that are growing from a tree. Those are the two best because you know that if you have good soil, you're going to get those nutrients in your soil that help to grow your food. Same thing with a tree. If you have good trees, good oxygen in your environment, your fruit and some of your vegetables are going to grow in abundance. And anything that has a property that denatures itself. So when you see food or you keep food for a few days and you see that it breaks down after the few days, that's the type of food that you want to incorporate into your body because you know that it has the nutrients it needs. And nutrients only sustain itself for a few days and no more than a few weeks. So I always encourage people to think about what it means to build internal capacity.
Mm.
So, yeah, as you are thinking about nutrients, it's not just nutrients alone, especially when you are stressed out. And the reason why I suggest this is because you really want to look at everything in its holistic form. And that's where I talk about the six dimensions of wellness. So that includes your physical capacity, your mental load, your emotional capacity, your spiritual capacity, your social mental impact, and most importantly, your environment. Your environment can really either press the stressor or you can just be someone that sees what's going on in your environment, but you don't do anything about it, but it can foster some type of either positive or negative influence in just your overall well being.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I like to touch on, how we build internal capacity when we're stressed. What you really need is that wellness support. And that wellness support comes in many different forms. Every person within your Beautifully Well Club has a superpower. And I want us all to tap into those superpowers. So that could be that you're the explorer in the group, or you're the planner where you like to plan out your meals, which is great. For some people, they just can't do that. Then you have others who are energizers. And when they're energizers, they're just like go, 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 go. And then they run themselves to the point where they burn out. But use that energy in a way where it encompasses those other 6 dimensions of wellness. And then you'll find that you're a little bit more even keeled and balanced. Then you have your connectors. So someone like yourself, Nick, you love to bring people together and socialize and make sure that your socialization can provide impact to individuals. Then you have other people who are experts, optimizers, producers. And then, like myself, nowadays, I like to refer to myself as a coach. So, being that coach then helps to support other individuals. And it ties in very nicely when you're building internal capacity.
And, let's chat about internal capacity for a moment, especially when we think about social connections.
Mhm.
That we know we are not far removed from a pandemic that shut life down globally for a minute
Yes, yes.
and aiming to just to reacclimate to the way things are. And our beautifuls are typically in that
Mhm.
menopausal phase. So how we used
Yeah,
to socially connect changes just a little.
yeah,
Loving that alone time as well. But
yeah.
how important is it to make sure that our social wellness, whether it's through timing of it or just trying not to fall into isolation or just awareness of who's in that circle, but just how important is the social aspect of our internal capacity.
It's very important because what I will tell you is when it comes to weight gain, weight loss, or just your overall health, you can't do it alone. You really can't. It takes a village, and it takes a village of all of the different titles that I've listed out in the presentation that could help you emotionally feel better so that you can de stress. And when you're able to do that, then you'll see that your loss is actually your gain. So what
Love
does
it.
that do for you? It starts to improve your mental health, which could then leads to so many different positive changes in your overall life. And when emotional well-being is prioritized, whether it's through therapy, stress management techniques, self-care practices, which I love, and I'm sure you love them too.
All
you-
day.
Yes, people can often find that their relationship with food then starts to improve because what tends to happen when you feel better, then you actually start craving fruits and vegetables. You start craving more water. So you become more mindful of your eating habits. And then what does that do in turn? It then allows you to manage your stress a little bit better. So then you start thinking about engaging in physical activities. Maybe you'll take a class. And so when you take a class, any form of exercise class, you're socially impacted around that. And so that is a great way to sustain whether it is weight management techniques or if it is just trying to just stay on the mend with how you can challenge your mental health. All of it is related to the 6 pillars that I referenced.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all needed. And just loving the way you explained this community internally, how we can build this community and notice if there are any gaps within the community, or even if you are taking on two. I mean, we all can connect to the explorer, the connector, the optimizer. Maybe we see a little bit of all of them in us. But if we
Mhm.
find that we are all of them within the community, that could be a light bulb that you are taking on way too much. But to powerfully build this network of people or access to what you need
Mhm.
is heading in the right direction of sustainable wellness.
Definitely. And sustainable wellness, that's a long term lifestyle change. It is not something that happens automatically. But there is one thing that I would love to share. One thing that I would love to share in that when you are talking about long term sustainable practices, the first thing that we really have to do is decolonize our plate.
Oh, tell us about that.
Okay. So when I say decolonize your plate, depending on who you're talking to, especially when you're stressed out, the first thing, if you are, let's just say, if you're gaining weight and you don't know why the weight has packed on, but you are hibernating, you're not doing any form of physical activity. Let's just say you are not using any form of the six pillars, but you notice that your weight has gone up. When I say you really need to look at decolonizing your plate, a lot of times, most of us revert to what we're eating when we're stressed out. And so we immediately have these triggers of, oh, well, I can't have fried chicken, or I can't have peas and rice, or I can't have a fried pork chop. And because you think that's bad. And then what does it do? It brings on more stress. And so I like to suggest that it is really important to decolonize your plate. So if you look at this presentation or this slide here, all of the plates are under 600 calories. And what's helpful is when you incorporate the six pillars. So let's just say you eat and then you walk. After you walk, you've taken in the energy by eating these foods, and then you've expended the energy out. So when you expend your energy, it also decreases your stress level. So I understand that when you're stressed and hungry, it's tempting, to reach out for those comforting foods that may not be the healthiest. However, there are certain foods that can help nourish your body while also supporting stress relief. And so this is just a glimpse of the types of foods that are not bad, but you do have people that think that they are bad foods. And society will also tell you that these foods are bad.
Right.
So I'm here to tell you, please decolonize your plates. It is not the greens, it is the bias.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This such a rich slide to be able to see a variety of food as well.
Mhm.
We tend to eat the same things over and over again. So if we are already accustomed to eating a certain way, and then it's time to make some of those lifestyle shifts, you could feel like, what's where's the direction in food? Um, and then the additional stress of trying to figure it out without guidance. But this helps us to see, you said 600 calories. Well,
Yes,
I'll tell you, if I
600.
could describe this uh, page here, I see the fried chicken. I see the greens. I see the cucumbers. I see the
Mhm.
pork chops. I see the string beans. It just shows a variety of food and being able to have fun with this.
Absolutely.
Nutrition is a science, but life does not have to be complicated with food. It's food is meant to be enjoyable.
Yes,
So this
definitely.
slide takes the stress out of healthy eating.
That's good. Yeah. So when you are feeling stressed out, one thing that I like to tell clients is to then think about your food in a different way. And when I say a different way, that's when nutrient values really kick in. So I'll give you an example. Foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, that includes like salmon, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, also codfish, haddock, any sort of deep, fatty fish that come from like oceans where you can't see the bottom. Those are the best fish types to eat when you're feeling stressed out. So omega-3 fatty acids, they help to reduce inflammation, not just in your body, but also it supports brain health, which then helps you manage stress a little better. And so reach for the walnuts when you're feeling stressed out. That can help improve your mood stability because of the different types of omega-3s that are in there. So you don't always have to feel like you have to get omega-3 fatty acids in a liquid form. Reach for the food. Food really is medicine.
It is indeed medicine.
Mhm.
And it goes full circle. My omega-3s, they're going to help with my heart health.
Mhm.
They're going to help. You said anti-inflammatory. That's going to keep the cortisol down. That's going to keep the effect of an overinflamed body and
Yes.
the risk associated with inflammation in the body, like blood sugar elevation, high blood pressure, heart heart health complications, that it goes full circle. We could keep healthy simple, and feel great about it every day, just with some mindfulness around what we put in our bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so ironic because omega-3 fatty acids at the end of the day is actually a fat, right? It's just a fatty acid. So it's like the body is created so beautifully because our brains are 40% of fat. And so when you are able to provide it with the fatty acids to help neutralize and stabilize your mood, it doesn't get any better than that. And you can use that with food. And so that's just one way, that's one component. But another opportunity from a nutritional standpoint is looking at complex carbohydrates. And I like to use the expression that if you have let's just say you have a really good night's rest, like you slept 8 to 9 hours.
Love it
Yeah,
already.
okay, okay. But you woke up feeling really depressed and just like as if you didn't want to move, and you feel like you're just still really tired and that you can go back to sleep. My first suggestion is reach for a carbohydrate. So that could include oatmeal, not all the fixings in the oatmeal, just regular stone ground oatmeal, whole grain bread or stone ground bread, just a slice of bread with a little bit of butter. Because again, butter is a fat, right? So it'll get you going and gives you that brain
Waking
activation
up the brain.
speed. Yes. Quinoa, sweet potatoes, they're excellent sources of complex carbohydrates. And they have tons of B vitamins. And B vitamins, they're a water soluble vitamin, meaning the more you take in, your body will take what it needs, and then everything else you'll urinate out of your body. But your B vitamins help with your neurotransmitters. So everything up here, it'll all connect. So what does that do? It stabilizes your blood sugar levels. It promotes the release of serotonin, and then with those neurotransmitters that I was just telling you about, it alleviates stress. So can you like is it hard to think about food actually alleviating stress?
Let me tell you, I so often think about if we just flip this mindset with emotional eating and those quick fixes that come from, highly processed foods or foods
Mm,
loaded with refined sugar. Um, Sometimes our coffee that has more of everything in it but coffee,
the
just to
coffee. Yes.
stimulate a quick rush, right? Um, that what happens when we flip it and we're able to get stimulated from a health perspective
Yes.
with just different choices, and how much better will we feel? And you hit it on the nose, Christy. Look, I got 8 to 9 hours of sleep, but I'm waking up still not feeling myself.
Mhm.
And that's a real talk moment. Definitely another podcast issue, right? Because a lot of us are leaning at 2 o'clock after lunch, trying to keep it together,
Yes. Yep.
and yet I'm not stressed out. But what are these symptoms? What are these feelings? And are we listening to the body, the
Right.
wisdom of the body, and responding in a way where we're healing it through food because we can?
We can. We absolutely can. So we talked about the omega 3s. We also talked about the complex carbohydrates. We can't forget the magnesium rich foods because that also plays a role in relaxing stress and your muscles, especially if you're one on the opposite side of the spectrum. So that could mean what if you are someone who is the energizer bunny all day, like go, 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 go. If you are that kind of person and you just feel like you are tapped out, that's the burnout person, then you could also try to incorporate foods that have a nice amount of magnesium in it. So that can include your spinach, kale, cashew nuts and almonds specifically, pumpkin seeds, and dark chocolate. So if you're feeling like, you still need that 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock nudge, reach for the dark chocolate instead of the milk chocolate. That'll get you going. It may relax you even more where you might not be able to work, but
Isn't
what
it
it
something?
will, what it'll also do, I know, right? What it'll also do is just, again, it regulates your mood. So, in this conversation, we're just really focusing in on anxiety, burnout, and stress.
Yes, absolutely. Because we do better when we feel better. And when we can convince ourselves that tired is not okay.
No.
It's not okay if we're worn out, whether that tired is physical, mental, or emotional. It's still not cool. So, um, tapping into those reasons why, but in this conversation, looking at how you can manage stress and your health simultaneously with food choices.
Yeah, for sure. And let's just say, what if you are the person where you have identified what you think what your body may need, but what if you're the person that feels like you're never full? So
Mhm.
in this case, you would want to reach for protein rich foods or snacks to kind of get you over into the next hump, maybe into the next 3 hours. If you're someone that likes to snack and like to eat every like 3 to maybe 4 hours. So if you're that person, Greek yogurt is very helpful, just regular Greek yogurt. If you like a flavor like vanilla, great. But when you add all the other stuff, sometimes, it could throw your body off into the other direction because you want to be able to stabilize your blood sugar. Eating hard boiled eggs, that's helpful. And also, again, that piece of meat. So,
Right.
a steak is great. It is loaded with iron. And women tend to feel that like around their menstrual time. They may wonder why they're craving a burger. Well, that just means that your body is looking for iron and not necessarily just that burger. So it's that brain gut connection that you're kicking in. Yeah.
Yeah, just listening to the body.
Yeah.
That's the piece. And going back to the holistic approach, we talk a lot about lifestyle medicine. And fortunately now, lifestyle medicine, the holistic approach, integrative health is now becoming more mainstream, thankfully, because more and more people want to be able to manage their health successfully. And not just with medication and not knocking medication and going off into a tangent on traditional healthcare, but at the end of the day, regardless as to what your state is from a medical perspective, you still owe yourself and your body proper nutrition. And it is the nutrition choices that'll help you manage and navigate through. So this is what's interesting, Christy, and I would love for you to bring it full circle for us that food is mood, food should be fun,
Yes.
a successful journey where you are managing stress because this is truly an organic process if we look
Mhm.
at it, right? That when I feel better and I will feel better if I'm nourishing my body correctly. And this boost that even though circumstances may cause us to, kind of get shooken up emotionally in some cases, we can stabilize with food, manage those cravings. And the tie into weight loss is that if we have a metabolism that's flowing, we have a mind that's managing stress um, diligently. We're
Mhm.
eating in a way where we have that natural energy. Those endorphins are releasing and keeping us feeling well. Well, then that means that high has kicked in, so we're making those choices that'll help us to sustain a healthier life.
That's right. And you could not have said it any better. So, to wrap it all up, as you mentioned, all of those elements help to really impact overall health. So, I think, from this conversation, it's not just non food related activities. We see that plays a crucial role in how you can reduce your stress level and also support weight management goals. And so that wellness support, it has to be managed. And when it's managed, that's where so you and I, that's where we see the success with our clients because they're incorporating regular physical activities, they're being more mindful with their food choices, they're getting that adequate sleep. So they're prioritizing sleep over everything else, which I still feel like I need to work on.
Oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, it will get there. Work in progress. But it is willpower for sure. And then most importantly, I feel like nowadays, either people are one or the other. Either you have either you're creative and you have some sort of creative outlet and a hobby, or you don't.
Right.
And if you don't, I think it is super helpful to think about incorporating a hobby because what you tend to do when you have hobbies is you actually give back in a way. And when you give back, it then takes the distraction off of you. And you
Absolutely.
see, yeah, you see that you're giving that distraction to someone else, which then again, it becomes full circle in that wellness support. So I know that we're here to support your clients, your beautifully well clients to the full. And may that be through telehealth services or services that allow them to be in a group setting. Maybe that creative outlet is just having that conversation in a group with others. And if that's what they're doing, that's great because then it lets us know that if they are feeling stressed in some way, they're looking for a creative outlet to support them. And we're here to support them.
It's all full circle support.
I love it.
Yeah, this was absolutely amazing. And Christy has been supporting our programs now for quite a while. Our ladies are always excited about the meal planning, a simplified way of looking at food, right? It's a blueprint, it's a guide. It's amazing with portion control because that could be an area where we struggle.
Mhm.
Um, but that connection and that tie to stress and weight management, just looking at our lives as a whole, and to be able to have a dietitian such as yourself chime in on that topic and drop all these gems. Magnesium. I mean, when we finish, I'm going to grab the kale out the
Go
refrigerator
get
again.
it.
Um,
Yes.
I'll more than likely eat it like it is, just so that I can wake up super excited and happy, like I need more energy. But you broke it down, right? You even gave us different examples as to where we are. What if we are that Energizer bunny? Then what are those nutrients we need to look out for? What if we are in a situation where we're still tired after you've gotten sleep? So I know the beautifuls are going to enjoy being able to revisit this conversation while they look forward to more topics to come. So, Christy, how can we get in touch with you or see what you're doing? What should we be on the lookout for?
Sure. So, my practice is called the Detox Salon. And so I do have access to a wellness center in Baltimore as well as Columbia. And ones can get in touch with me through you, Nick. So, I'm Christy Price and then I at the end at the
Love that.
detoxsalon.com. And if anyone needs to reach me, by all means, they can reach me through email, and I will happily follow up and provide them with the support that they need.
Awesome. Well, it was wonderful having you with us. We're looking forward to the next conversation. And for those of you tuning in to the Beautifully Well Conversations with your girl, Nick, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to share it with someone else and hop on this opportunity to join Club Beautiful so that you can benefit from these experts coming through and the goodies that they're sharing to help us to live beautifully. Why? Because you're already beautiful. Let's get beautifully well.